everyone. Welcome to RPV City Talk on the Road. I'm Liz Brown Swanson with the great mayor of Rancho Palos Verdes, John Cruikshank. This is our monthly mayor's program, and we're doing it from gorgeous Terranea, our fabulous resort in our community, and we'll be talking more about what's happening here. But we're going to talk about what's happening like we always do every month with the mayor about the city. And this, Mayor Cruikshank, is our first show of 2024.
Happy New Year, everyone. No, I'm doing great, and how can you not do great here at Terranea, the amazing resort here in Rancho Palos Verdes? I tell everyone, a city council member, it's so important to come visit us, and when you do, come to Terranea. So
absolutely. And I was just starting up and find a little bit of how you're doing as mayor in the first weeks, and exactly how would you say our city's doing overall before we get into looking at all the specific city goals, issues right now we're dealing with.
Our city overall is doing great. And the reason we're doing great is because, you know, not only are we in one of the most amazing places on earth, but the people that are in Rancho Palos Verdes, the residents and the businesses, make it an amazing place to be. And it's an honor to be able to represent the city of Rancho Palos Verdes.
Of course. And right now, we know that we are in the midst of dealing with the ongoing issues with the Portuguese Land Slide complex area. Our city's been in a state of emergency since October. And there's just city staff, this council, community are thinking about this nonstop to try to resolve it. So why don't you give us an update on what is happening with the issue with what's going on with the landslide?
No, of course. So at the beginning of January here, the city manager, council member Dave Bradley, and myself were in Sacramento, and we were meeting with our legislators. And even though we were there representing our city for Contract Cities in their annual legislative tour, we also took time to meet with our elected officials for Sacramento, both Assemblymember Muratsuchi and also Senator Ben Allen. And we met with them separately to talk specifically about what's going on in our landslide complex, because it's a problem that's occurring in the city of Rancho Palos Verdes, but it's a regional problem, and we really need the help of Los Angeles County. We need the help of Sacramento and the state of California. And of course, we received a huge grant from the federal government for the project that we've identified, that we're currently in the midst of looking at the EIR document. But right now, this is a top-of-mind topic for all of us here in the city, and so we want to see what we could do immediately because we are in rainy season.
Right, and with the rains that are projected, I know, just to get the community familiar, the state of emergency that the council needed to declare in the complex area was because of what was being accelerated movement, and it's all because of water, really, is the culprit.
All water.
It's all water.
No, it's all water, exactly.
And so talk a little bit more about the measures, the short-term measures that are being sort of implemented right now to deal, whether it's filling in fissures, lining the canyon, and also if you could explain a little bit to the community about just sort of the boundary and what this landslide complex area looks like.
Sure.
Double question.
I mean, it's probably more than a mile wide. So the center portion, which is the main portion that we've always talked about, is the Portuguese Bend landslide. But the entire thing is called the Portuguese Bend landslide complex. And the reason is because you have two other areas that are abutting that Portuguese Bend area, which is the Klondike Canyon and the Abalone Cove area. And so those two areas have been also having quite a bit more movement because of the amount of water that's been added to the water table. I try to explain that the water was about 90 foot below the surface prior to the rains last year, and then now it's roughly 9 or 10 feet. So the water's come up quite a bit, adding a lot of weight to the earth that's on top of the landslide bentonite that actually causes the earth to move. And so without getting into too much engineering stuff, because I love to do that.
Because you're an engineer.
I think the short-term solution, like you asked about, certainly both of those areas, Klondike Canyon and the Abalone Cove Landslide Abatement District, both of them are installing more wells. Those wells are to draw water out so that you take that hydrostatic pressure off of the earth there, so it's less weight, less likely that it'll move. So those have been ongoing.
Right.
The city's been expending a lot of efforts in filling all the fissures and cracks so that any additional rain that comes in doesn't end up down into the ground.
Yep.
And that's an ongoing effort. And they're actually tarping many of those areas because we're right in the middle of rainy season right now. And then we also have our utility companies that have been participating. Of course, the sewer district, LA County Sewer District, they've been inspecting their lines every day. The Cal Water has actually completed the project of putting a number of their lines, main lines, above ground. So you no longer have that opportunity for them to break and put more water in the ground. And of course, our residents have been great. Every week, people have been meeting. Our city geologists have been participating. And so it's really been a team effort.
Right. It's a 500,000 old slide, of course, and then every year, like, it's moving inches, it creeps this, and recent as you're seeing, feet. It moves by the,
It moves in feet.
Yep. And you mentioned too, like, since this started in my neighborhood of Seaview, which is part of the Klondike Canyon issue, there were 2 homes red tag. At this point, those are the only homes. One is too many that the city's had to red tag. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know everybody's on it, and we're dealing with Mother Nature as well. But the utilities, like, I'm glad you brought that up. It's that conversation of everybody doing their part. It is an RPV issue, but we got county, we got now federal money, and you can't seem like to do enough quick enough, right?
No, and in fairness to all the outside legislators from the county, state, and federal, they understand the importance of it. I think, we were talking about this a little bit earlier before recording, that there's a lot of levels of government, and to navigate that and understand who can help who with what money, that always becomes a complication. I know the average resident is going to say, who cares about that, just fix it, and I agree with them.
Right.
And we want to do that, but there are things we need to continue to follow the right pathway too, so we don't lose our funding as well.
And I think the average resident that is driving around our city right now that aren't living adjacent to the slide, but they travel PV Drive South, they're thinking, what is going to happen if this road buckles? I mean, that
absolutely.
Yeah, that's where we see the crews out there fixing and repairing all the time.
All the time.
They were out there for a few days where we call it the ski jump, fixing at that area by Wayfarers Chapel. The road had buckled, but the road already looks different every day when we're out there. So.
Oh, the road moves horizontally and vertically every day.
Yes, I know. I travel that road daily. On the subject of, and we're going to move on from what's going on with the slide, of course, it's impacted the trails and the preserve.
Right.
The city has had to close miles of trails, and we asked the community to heed those closure signs because it's safety issues. There's large openings. We had our camera crew out with our incredible outdoor open space management team that are out there fixing and repairing the trails and to see what's going on. What's your message to the community, and a little bit if you want to talk about the trail closures?
Well, I mean, our message to the community is always patience, and I think our community has always been great at heeding that message. So as everyone knows, Rancho Palos Verdes is home to 1,500 acres of trails. But right now we have 8 miles of our trails closed because of safety issues. And those safety issues, of course, is the stability of the land. You've got these fissures that aren't just a 1 or 2 foot deep. These are 10, 20 feet deep. And so these are things that are real safety concerns for our city. So when you see closures on a trail, please heed those warnings. Please read those signs and don't go onto trails, because you really put yourself and others at risk by doing that.
Also, just while you're bringing this up, there is an information and reporting line in the city. So if you also see anything, it's very helpful. I have the number here, 310-491-5775. And of course, we say at all of our shows we do with the mayor, check out our city website, rpvca.gov. You can click on trail alerts and kind of find out what's going on, and including with the land movement. We have all kinds of information available so people can be updated every day.
Well, and I want people to also know that we want the trails to be open as soon as possible. We understand how important those are for our residents and for our guests, but we only have so much limited resources as well. And like I said, there's 8 miles right now. And so it's going to take a while to open all of that. So please be patient with us and understand we do that for the public safety.
And when you mentioned trail openings, I want to segue into the next exciting opening we're waiting to see, and that would be the Ladera Linda Community Park Project. It's been going on, I think, 10 years since we've been talking about this. And tell us the latest on where we're going to see that park open for the community to use.
Well, I'm so glad that we started maybe with not so positive, but serious news with the landslide issue. But Ladera Linda Community Center is going to have its grand opening February 23rd in the afternoon, and we hope that everyone could come out and participate in that grand opening. It's going to be, like you said, 10 years in the making, and there's so many people that have been patient with that project as well. But this is one of the biggest projects in our city's history. And if you've been monitoring and watching the camera, the construction camera, wow, it's going to be an amazing facility.
And what it will be offering the community, besides just coming up there for a beautiful walk, enjoy the views, there's going to be classes, playground, tennis court, or paddle courts, or I don't know if it's pickleball, but they've got courts up there.
I think it's paddle tennis.
Yes.
And there's basketball.
Yes, yes. And I know I'm just looking forward to yoga.
Nice.
I'm looking
People
for-
are already actually getting reservations. So, of course, if you run an HOA or if you're
Oh,
a
that's so
community
exciting.
group or a group of artists or yoga or whatever it is, contact our city and get on there. It's going to be crowded because people are going to realize this is one of the greatest facilities that anywhere in
Yeah.
Southern California, really.
And the thing about this, the opening of this was done with so much community input and the neighborhood there participating so that it could work, so that it's really going to be another gem in our community. And
Yes.
how exciting. And you'll be the mayor with the ribbon cutting. And I know they're sharpening
That's
the
an honor.
scissors for February 23rd.
Don't have sharp scissors around me at that point. You might want to dull those scissors a bit.
I know.
You don't run with big scissors.
Yeah. Well, on the idea of big goals for the city of Rancho Palos Verdes and the council, always, right? We're in 2024. You work on new goals each year. Talk about just sort of the, I know there's like 6 overarching categories: public safety, transparency, we could go on, infrastructure. Just kind of talk about the goals you're seeing for the year that you hope you can achieve as a council.
Well, I mean, just going right back to the number one priority, the goal is to make sure that we can do whatever we can to reduce and eliminate as much movement in our landslide area as possible. And with that, we were given a large grant by the federal government, but we're still about $10 million short in the overall project. So the other goal is to, of course, hope that both the state and the county help participate in those matching funds, and we believe that they will. Like I said, they've been good partners with us. Another big goal, kind of building upon the Ladera Linda Community Center, is the Civic Center. And the Civic Center has been working on that project for years. And so this year we're going to be hiring new program managers, having design competitions for that project. And then that'll become the biggest project in our city's history. And there's a lot of work to do there. So of course our city staff and our team of Civic Center Advisory Committee are going to be working hard. And it'll get to the city council, but we hope that our communities participate, because it's really our residents that ultimately make these projects work.
Right.
And if we don't get input from them, then how do we know what to do? So it's going to be great. Also, of course, another more serious topic, and I know many people in our community understand the importance of our housing element that needs to be approved. We're in a 4th round of submitting to the HCD, the Housing Authority up in Sacramento. The hope is maybe by the time this airs that we're very close or have gotten approvals for our housing element, because we are being requested by the, and I say requested with air quotes a little bit, but numerous housing units, about 647 housing units of different economic levels in our city, and we're one of all the cities in California. The other thing is that we're going to continue to advocate for local control. Going back to the housing element where the state has mandated us to do that, our city is going to continue to fight for local control. We believe that the people of Rancho Palos Verdes know what they want for their community more than Sacramento wants for us. So we're going to continue to fight for that. And then a couple things that are really important to me. First of all, the Western Avenue beautification project. Everyone knows that Western Avenue is a very heavily traveled Caltrans highway, and that's why it's always been difficult to do projects there, because you have Rancho Palos Verdes, Caltrans, and the City of Los Angeles all participate, and we're the lead agency, but we're battling a tiny bit because Caltrans is trying to move a major bike path through that area, and we're trying to make sure that if they're going to do that, that it meets the needs of our community as well, which includes beautification. Like, we understand the need for moving traffic, but we also understand that there's a look and feel and character that we really want to maintain in our city.
You said it's multi-jurisdictional. You have, RPV is sort of on one side of the street, so if you can put all that effort, but if it's not happening on the City of LA side, you need to kind of have it all coordinated, and you're making, you're moving forward. This council has been really ambitious with their efforts to push through some beautifying
well, I'm glad you said
elements.
that about,
We've seen that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about LA, though. So, of course, the City of Los Angeles has a representative, council member Tim McCosker. He represents the CD. He calls it the CD15, which is great. And he's been very receptive to talk to us and work with us. And we would hope the same for any agency like Caltrans. We always try to build consensus instead of just trying to say this is what we want, take it or leave it. That's not the way to govern.
And we know that the RPV City Council is very good at building consensus. We have quite the team right now on our council for 2024. You held your first meeting back on January 16th, and as always, action-packed agenda. So what we like to do in this mayor show is to kind of let you know, the residents, like what action is our council taking. So you covered everything from traffic safety issues, implementing some calming measures. You talked about fixed utility rate proposal at the state that you dealt with, and biannual board reports. Our city's commission, planning commission committee members came before you to let us know. So with all that being said, kind of rattle off the takeaways from the first meeting of the year.
It was an aggressive schedule, and our consent calendar was pretty monstrous as well. So there's always a lot that our city staff is doing. We have a small but mighty city staff, and they continue to move projects that are important to our community forward. Let's start with the utility rates. Once again, our utility companies are looking to raise our rates again. This time they're looking at income-based rate increases. We're of course against that. We believe that the utility rates and what we pay for our utilities should be based on usage, not on how much you make. That's just inherently unfair and un-American, as we believe.
Right.
And so for us, we were sent a letter basically saying we disagree with that approach. And even the environmental groups came to us and wanted us to push back, because they said, look, we're trying to get people to use less energy so that we could be more sustainable. And if you just have a flat rate, then people that are wealthy are going to say, you know, I'm already paying this. I'm just going to keep all the lights on. I don't care anymore because it doesn't matter. My bill's not really going to make that much of a difference. That's the first thing.
And that group was CalPERG, right? That came
that's right.
before you.
Yeah, so that's the first thing. And then just talking with the Traffic Safety Committee chairman, they have 50 or 60 projects that are still being discussed and worked on and moving through their committee. But we did get through 2 of those. One was the left turn arrows at Eddington Hill at
Seamount, right?
Yeah, Seamount at on Hawthorne Boulevard.
Yep. Well, there'll be 2 left turn arrows now, because
right, instead of just a green light and then you turn against the green light, you'll do a left arrow.
Multiple collisions that, you know.
Right, there was 4
happening.
collisions and then another 4 collisions back to back each year. And so that was an unsafe condition. And then of course an area that I drive through every morning and evening is the Mayoral Plaza area. Palos Verdes Drive East and Mayoral Drive. And so we're looking at a number of short-term traffic measures that the traffic committee and their consultants brought to us. And so look at ways to slow the traffic down. And then one thing we really talked about, and this is a message I think is important, we need to stop texting while we're driving. You know, this whole thing of people driving 40, 50 miles an hour and looking down, if you look at your phone going 50 miles an hour, within 4 seconds, you've basically gone the length of a football field. And so nobody would ever want to drive with their eyes closed, but that's basically what you're doing when you're texting and driving.
Yeah, it's like drunk driving.
Right. And we also asked the Sheriff's Department to start to enforce more of this tailgating, because there's so much tailgating goes on. And that's not right. We need to be respectful of other fellow drivers. And we do have a lot of senior citizens in our city, and they need to take their time to make sure they follow the laws and drive safely. Everyone needs to do that. And so that's kind of the message. And then the last thing you mentioned in regards to all of our committees and our commission. So we got their annual reports and all the things they'll be working on. And I will say that we have an amazing group of people that are on our committees and our planning commission as well. And they went through what they're going to be working on through the year, their work plan. It's always great having them, because we know by the time it gets to us, they've vetted things, they've gotten the answers that we really want to get. And by the time we're asking them questions, they know how to answer those questions, and it makes the process so much better.
I always think it's amazing that every time there's openings on any city committee or the planning commission, the amount of volunteers that step up, the caliber, whether it's, you know, a banker, an attorney, an art teacher, we've got such an incredible mix of talent that comes in and helps us run our city. And we're going to have a new committee, the Youth Advisory Committee. The council has, this is one of a new project. I know Council Member, Mayor Pro Tem Eric Alegria really pushed this as with young kids in his household, wanted to see this happen, right? And they're going to have their first meeting on January 29th on Monday. By the time this is running, they will have already held their first meeting, 13 new young 7th graders till 12th grade. So what do you think of that? And you must be excited.
Well, I mean, I think all of the council members are excited, and like you said, Mayor Pro Tem Alegria and Council Member Seo. Take it for the 2 youngest people on our council to come up with such a great idea. The 13 individuals that are from different high schools, and I think junior high as well, or middle school, whatever they call it. They're going to be great.
Yeah.
And being able to get the perspective of the youth is so important. And so I look forward to their work, and I look forward to, hearing their ideas, their fresh ideas. I think in Rancho Palos Verdes, we've always prided ourselves in listening to the whole community, and I think that was a missing element of our community that we're now finally going to have. So it's, great job in creating that.
And when you talk about this additional committee, because it'll be a high school or junior high age, they'll be in school when you every month have your mayor's breakfast. We're here at Terranea Resort because the mayor just had his meeting with all the chairs and leaders from our committee and commissions. So one of those lucky students might be joining you on your mayor's breakfast monthly meeting, I hope.
Oh, they need to.
They'll have to get a note to be late to school in the morning.
Do they still do that?
I don't know, maybe something like that.
To.
But that'll be great. That we'll have an additional now committee member bringing in the perspective of our new generation. So that'll be great. And as we mentioned that we're sitting here at Terranea, we can't say enough about having this resort in our community. How grateful. I can't believe it's 15 years since they did their ribbon cutting here. And we've got, I would love to work here all day long. You've got this incredible view.
You wouldn't even call it work.
I know.
This isn't work.
And, that brings me, though, to talking about our city's finances, because the contribution from the transient occupancy tax, what we call the TOT, every year, millions and millions of dollars come into our city coffers because of what Terranea's business. We need this business and to support. So with that, talk about the role this resort plays for all of us and the contribution financially.
Put it in perspective, our budgets are about 35 million of revenues, 38 million, and Terranea alone, 6.9 million in occupancy tax revenue this year, highest ever. It tells you that the resort is doing great, and there's no reason they shouldn't. They have been working so hard. I know they're working on 5-star rating here, which shocking to me that they weren't already a 5-star because they've always been fantastic. But you're right, that those monies that we get end up going into our capital improvement program, and of course those are streets and all the different things. And honestly, we've been putting a lot of that toward our fix in the Portuguese Land Slide. So we desperately need those sort of monies to continue to come in.
Well, it's amazing what Terranea brings into our coffers, but overall, how is our city doing financially at this point?
No, our city's in great shape right now financially, and like I always mention to people when I first got on the city council, that it's best for me not to screw things up. And screwing things up means not following some of the good rules, which are the financial rules that city councils before me have done. And so I follow those rules, and we're in good shape.
Thank you for that. And on the subject of being in good shape, I have to say this. You and I were at the birthday party of a 100-year resident, or 100-year young resident, Nick Mosich. Happy birthday on New Year's Day. We were at the party, and you interviewed him and found out the secret of us being 100. And what was it like for you to hang out with him?
You gave up the microphone for me, which she's a professional. I'm not a professional in this.
You did a great job.
So that was very generous of you to do that. So I'm glad it worked out, and that was obviously an important day for him and his family. And what was the secret? He told us it was basically one day at a time. I think that's important. Like anything in life, we take things very seriously, but we got to remember that sometimes there's bad days and sometimes there's good days, but we got to just one day. And so I like that message. And, he had such great spirits, and he was just so happy, and his family was amazing. Like obviously he was a great father and great grandfather, and all the things he's done for his family it was obvious based on all the people that I met, and just loved him so much.
I know he said he enjoyed meeting you. We're going to just share one quick clip from your interview. Let's have it.
You're a Rancho Palos Verdes resident, and you're here celebrating your 100-year birthday. And you and I met for the first time tonight, but it's quite an honor to be with you. So tell us what it's like being 100 years old.
It's a wonderful feeling. I did it without any heavy sickness or discomfort, and it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure for me to be able to be here with you tonight celebrating here at La Venta Inn. And as a fellow business owner and someone that's worked very hard, what is your secret to being 100 years old and being so fit?
It comes one day at a time. You live it the best you can, and that's how you get there. Well, I want to thank all the people that made an effort to be here tonight, and I'm very thankful for that, and life goes on.
Mayor Cruikshank, I hope we're invited back to his 101st
Oh, I do too.
birthday, because they know how to party.
I expect it.
Maybe they'll have it here at Terranea. We're gonna pitch that.
Yeah, right, because he wasn't in Rancho Palos Verdes,
know.
he was at La Venta.
Yeah. So, but it was a really nice celebration, and may we all have the life of Mr. Mosich. And at any rate, you always are on the run, running around the hill for being mayor. Any other activities you want to share with us?
Of course, going back to the Ladera Linda Community Center, that's going to be opening on the 23rd, and we invite everyone to be there. I was also told there's this Sweet Puppy Love Valentine's party on February 10th, 10 o'clock, Eastview Park. So the people on the east side of town can celebrate with their puppies. I don't have a dog, but I know a lot of people do. So go out and have some fun there with the puppies. And then I highlighted this because I thought a doggy photo booth.
Nice.
Now that's fun. Now does the dog also have like a kissing booth as well?
You got to bring heart-shaped biscuits to get a kiss from the dog that day.
Okay, I might not do that.
And we have, of course, it sounds hard to believe it, we're going to be talking about Whale of a Day before you know it. Coming up in April. The city is always, our Rec and Parks team has so much going on, and that's, of course, a spectacular annual event. And
That's April 13th?
Yeah. We've got that, so we can go on the, actually go whaleofaday.com.
There's also a nature walk coming up, the Los Serenos de Point Vicente Docents on February 18th, 11 o'clock, Abalone Cove Park. And of course, those are trails that are still open, but man, getting out into this weather and enjoying our trails is something special.
And we do have a leadership academy that the city offers. They're going to register people for their spring leadership academy. I took it. Just for fun with Dawn.
Look at you.
Yeah, and I'm a leader
You're
on
a leader.
RPD TV.
You
Did you
absolutely
ever?
are.
Was that? Did they have it when you started?
No, I did it. I still have the 3-ring binder. I learned so much. They even gave us a thumb drive. I could go back and study some of the city budgets. Don't ask me what our budget was back then, though.
Yeah, I think the best part was too. You really learn how to participate in government. You learn how RPV. City Hall works, and it's really informative.
And not only that, but you also meet all the department heads and people that work within City Hall, and so not only do you come away with a lot of knowledge of how local government works, but you get to meet the people that make it happen. And so when you have issues in the future, you know who to contact and how that works. So I think it's, for anyone, it's an amazing opportunity, but there's only 25 spots every year, so make sure you're signing up early.
Go to our city website. And I mean, you learn how government works by just going up to Sacramento. I just want to wrap up with that because you touched on it, but how amazing that you went up with Councilmember Bradley, our city manager, to kick off the year up in Sacramento to lobby on behalf of her and meet with South Bay City Councils of Government. Was that the event?
So it's Contract Cities.
Oh, Contract Cities. Another organization, right? But still, Contract Cities is who you went with.
Yes.
And you found that to be, I'm sure, incredibly educational.
Well, and just so people know what Contract Cities actually means, we contract for many of our services like our sheriffs and our fire through LA County, and we contract for many of our services like street paving and maintenance. And so we have a smaller city staff than having a full service staff. We actually contract out. So there's a number of cities that are part of that organization. And we went up to Sacramento, and of course, like we talked about earlier, we were lobbying for some assistance with our landslide issues, but also you're talking about public safety and many of the things that are important to all of our residents.
Right. Well, you're doing great work, and how fun for us. We're going to stay here all day, and you can come here for Valentine's. We're going to actually do a fun piece with the resort manager here about all the things you can do here at Terranea during the month of February. So, along with watching city council meetings, which are the first and third Tuesdays of the month.
Did you say fun in city council meetings in the same
I think
sentence?
they're really enjoyable.
Wow, good for us.
I love it as a resident. rpvca.gov is how you check everything out we're doing, and watch us on RPV TV. Thank you for joining me every month. You'll see Mayor Cruikshank and I. We run around the city and have a good time.
Bring your heart-shaped dog biscuits.
Yes. And that's going to do it for this edition of RPV City Talk on the Road from Terranea Resort. I'm Liz Brown Swanson with Mayor Cruikshank. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.